What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the Pika Pika Papa, and at the beginning of every month, I share with you where I'm going to be spending my hard-earned Poké Dollars in the weeks ahead. And I'm able to do that because really, I start every month off with a plan, and there's two reasons for that. First and foremost, I know how I'm wired, I know how I function, I know how excited I am about this hobby and how passionate I am, and if I don't have a plan in place, I'm going to spend my Poké Dollars on things that won't give me the longest amount of satisfaction and joy in this hobby, so I know I've got to keep a plan in place there. And the other reason is because, listen, the market is very cyclical. There are certain segments that get very hot. And while that happens, there are other items that cool off. And I know that if I can find awesome cards with great art, big name Pokemon from awesome sets, or really cool sealed product that maybe the market is overlooking a little bit and I can pick them up, man, those represent some fantastic buying opportunities. Now, what I always say is this: I don't have a crystal ball. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen in the future. I have no idea where the bottom is. All I'm ever looking for is awesome cards at really approachable price points. And we're going to be talking about a couple of different awesome sets and a couple of card segments right now that I think are going to be in phenomenal shape in the future, which may have been beaten up just a little bit too much right now. Now, what am I talking about? Well, if you remember, from January until now, the XY era and the Sun and Moon era have been on fire. I'm talking red hot. Everything in both of those generations are hitting all-time highs. But while that has been happening, Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon have been getting their tails kicked. We have watched some phenomenal cards from some awesome sets really start to crash down. It started in February of 2025. Now we're starting to see things flatten out a little bit, and I'm starting to feel the market turn. So to me, this is an awesome opportunity to jump in on some of these really cool products. So we're going to talk about it today. We're not just going to talk about the cards. You know, I believe in explaining more like the what, the why versus the how and all of that stuff. So we're going to be talking about gem rates. We're going to be talking about pull rates. We're going to be talking about incredible sets, and we're going to be looking at the market as a whole. So hopefully you have a ton of fun along the way. And if you do, we do a ton of work behind the scenes here on the Pika Pika Papa channel. Hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. Those two small things go a long way in helping my small channel out, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So before we talk about the set that I'm really focused on this month, I want to talk about a set that I was focused on 2 months ago because I think they're really similar and they really tie in well together. So right here, you have the exact slide that I did 2 months ago in the same video series where I shared with you the products that I was investing in for the month. And I was really focused on 151. It exhibited all the patterns that I had talked about. Big name Pokemon cards, awesome artwork, one of the biggest sets, but was caught in that overall Scarlet and Violet downturn. That Charizard was down at $185. The Blastoise was just over $50, coming in at $60.53. Venusaur was under 55. Zapdos was under 50. Like, we just knew that even though the whole Scarlet and Violet market was turning down, there was no reason for these cards to be this low. So we talked about that and we said, hey, this could be a really cool opportunity to get some amazing cards at some great prices. And last month we did an update on it. And as one would expect, obviously, the prices improved. We saw double-digit gains from a percentage standpoint across the board. The Charizard was still under $200, coming in at $196. The Blastoise was under $70 at $69. Venusaur was at $62, and the Zapdos was at $52.80. And even though they had seen some serious growth, we talked about it last month, I was still a buyer of 151. I still thought, hey, listen, we're still well below all-time highs. I'm a big believer in these cards. There's some great opportunity here. And now this month,
what's poppin', y'all? Editor Team Player here. I usually don't have to pop in. The cards usually don't shift this much week to week, but in the past week, the cards have exploded, so the prices you're about to see will not line up with what Pika Pika Papa is saying, but what he is saying has since came true. As he always says, we do a ton of work behind the scenes. Don't forget to hit that like button.
guess what? Not all of them are moving up again. We have the Charizard, which is finally broken above that $200 mark. You know how much I loved it below 200. And to be honest with you, I still love it at 217. This card is just going to do big, big things in the long run, I promise. So even at $217, I'm still a big fan of it. But I love that Blastoise. It's staying below $70. It's down $3 versus last month. The Venusaur's kind of close to directionally flat, only down $1.35. The Zapdos had another really strong month, you know, up $5.34. But these slow market moves, you know, month over month, like, yes, we're starting to see some strong growth, but the fact that the Blastoise and the Venusaur is down month over month, I don't care. These, like I said in the beginning, these are fantastic cards that I promise you a year from now, we will all be looking at these prices and going, oh my God, can you imagine what it would be like to pick up the Blastoise for $65? Like, it's just, this set's going to do really, really well in the long run. But remember, that's not the focus. Even though these are cards that I would still pick up today, that's not the focus. What I want us to learn about 151 are two really cool metrics that we're going to dive into here on the next slide. Is This is the gem rate on the right, and that's the pull rate of the special illustration rares on the left. So first we'll talk about the gem rate on the right. So there have been 550,000 English 151 cards sent to PSA for grading. And out of that massive number of cards, only 33.26% of them have been awarded that coveted PSA 10 gem mint. Now, if you don't know anything about gem rates, that is abysmally low. I will show you all of the Scarlet and Violet gem rates on the next slide, but that is an absolutely abysmal number, which when you're thinking about the long-term value of raw cards, really low gem rates have a tendency to help support higher prices because guess what? Everybody's always chasing those PSA 10s. The PSA 10 population will organically be lower because the gem rate's so bad, which makes them naturally rarer, which makes prices higher. But also people are paying a little bit more of a premium for the raw cards with the hope that they can get those really rare PSA 10 gem mint cards. Now, on the other side of that, something that could push the prices down is the fact that the pull rates for specific special illustration rares is very, very favorable. Matter of fact, it is 1 in every 225 packs, which means the odds of pulling that Charizard are actually really, really favorable. Again, on the next slide, we'll compare it to all the Scarlet and Violet sets, and it is one of the best pull rates in the entire Scarlet and Violet era. So you have kind of two contradicting forces here. You have the really low gem rate, which traditionally supports very, very strong raw card prices and really high PSA 10 prices. But then you have relatively high pull rates, which means there's going to be a ton of these raw cards out there. But all of that aside, and honestly, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't because these cards are so fantastic from an artwork perspective. It has the biggest names in the hobby in there. Plus, it's from an incredibly popular set in 151. Like, these cards are going to do great in the long run. I just wanted to frame this up because I do think the next set that we talk about is a very interesting comparison. So, I told you that we were going to talk about all the gem rates from the Scarlet and Violet era and all of the pull rates from the Scarlet and Violet era. So here they are. So as you can see, I've highlighted some of the bigger sets. I've highlighted some of the lower gem rates so you can take a look at them. Destined Rivals was the one that really jumped off the page at me. You know, the pull rate for those specific special illustration rares is really low. Outside of the set we're going to look at here in just a minute, it's the only other one with a pull rate higher than in 1,000 packs. So the odds of pulling that special illustration rare Mewtwo from Destined Rivals is 1 in every 1,033 packs. But on the other side, has one of the highest gem rates of the entire Scarlet and Violet era. Now that you can see all of these, the set that I'm talking about right now that I'm very, very bullish on, that I think has been oversold, believe it or not, is Prismatic Evolutions. So I have been waiting to do a gem rate report on this one because I wanted to wait until we had a sufficient sample size. But now that there have been over 150,000 Prismatic Evolution cards sent to PSA for grading, we can say the gem rate is 32.39%. Now, if you remember, 151 had a gem rate of 33% and change. So the gem rate in Prismatic Evolutions is actually lower than 151. It is much lower than Destined Rivals. Matter of fact, the only set on here that has a lower gem rate than Prismatic Evolutions is Obsidian Flames. And think about the card lineup of Obsidian Flames and compared to Prismatic Evolutions. The reality is you can't even compare them. There is no comparison whatsoever. Prismatic Evolutions is so far ahead. Now, Paldea Evolve is relatively close at 33.9%. And as we said, 151, even though Prismatic Evolutions is worse, 151 is relatively close from a gem rate perspective. But here is where Prismatic Evolutions really separates itself, is look at the specific special illustration rare pull rate. It is 1 in every 1,440 packs. That is horrible. That is the worst pull rate from the last two generations. Only second to, do you know what set had a worse pull rate than this? Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies, the odds of pulling that Moonbreon was basically 1 in every 2,000 packs. I think it was 1 in every 1,990 packs. And we have all seen what has happened with, Evolving Skies, right? So it is absolutely incredible to think about how low this pull rate is. But the other thing that separates Prismatic Evolutions from Evolving Skies is the gem rate in Evolving Skies was like 70%. I mean, they were just printing gem mint cards left and right back in the Sword and Shield era. As you can see, that is not the case for Scarlet and Violet. So when I'm thinking about this, remember, I was doing the comparison to 151, right? Like 151 had a 1 in every 225 packs. That was your odds of pulling the Charizard. The odds of pulling this Umbreon here in Prismatic Evolution is 1 in every 1,440 packs. Plus you have it combined with a really low gem rate. This is a set that I think is being oversold right now. And I think it has a very, very strong prospect for, I'm talking 2, 3, 5 years down the road, doing really special things. Now, of course, we got to talk about where the cards are now. they're priced really high. So it's not like these cards are priced at the same point that we saw from those 151 cards. Like everybody who's out there, everybody who's watching this, everybody's very, very smart. They understand all of these factors. But the thing that makes these jump off the page at me right now is if you've been watching this channel, we've talked about how some of the Scarlet and Violet cards have already started to make the turn, right? Obviously, Bubble Mew has been hot. Obviously, the Magikarp has popped off. We saw the Charizard from, Paldean Fates. Like we just continue to see card after card from Scarlet and Violet, the big cards, the big chase cards. We're watching them pop off left and right, but the cards from Prismatic Evolutions haven't made the turn yet. Matter of fact, they're just starting to flatten out. Look at that bright blue line. Look at how it's been aggressively working its way down over the last 3 months, and it's just starting to flatten out. Again, I've got to say this. I don't know where the bottom is. I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe these prices will continue to drop for the next 6 months for all I know. The only thing I can say is the pull rates are abysmally low. The gem rate is absolutely horrible. These prices appear to be flattening out. A lot of other big Scarlet and Violet chase cards are popping off, and these cards are going to be very, very special. I promise you that. The other thing that we talked about that week where we were discussing, 151 and what a great opportunity it was, we actually pivoted and talked about some Prismatic Evolution sealed products, and we did a comparison. Remember, this slide is from a couple months ago when we were talking about 151, and we were looking at the 151 Ultra Premium Collection box and the 151 Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer box, and we were talking about how astronomically high those prices were, and I was saying, hey, the pull rates are horrible, the gem rates are horrible, obviously Eeveelutions are wildly popular, like it has everything, all the intangibles to make this set maybe not follow 151 exactly, dollar for dollar. Maybe it doesn't get up to these astronomical prices, but they're really oversold right now. That super premium collection box was at $200. Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs were $250. Like I know that those are multiple over MSRP, but those were fantastic prices. Now, look what has happened to all of these products over the last couple months since we did that video. I can't even say how wild it is to think that these 151 Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes are all the way up at $922, and those ultra premium collection boxes are at $488. And look what's happened to the Prismatic Evolutions Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer box. Big bounce, right? It was at $250. It's all the way up at $311 now. So again, I never do these look backs in order to say, look how right we were, or oh my God, we made the right thing. What I'm trying to show you is positive momentum in the Prismatic Evolution space that maybe hasn't made it to the single cards yet. Now, that Ultra Super Premium Collection box, it's only up $10 over the last couple months. And I'm telling you right now, I think that is a fantastic deal. Look at the 151 UPC all the way up at almost $500. The Prismatic Evolution one is sitting at $219. I think that's a very, very awesome product, if I'm being honest. I know it's over MSRP, but I still think that's a great one to pick up. But again, we're seeing a lot of positive momentum in that space. And the other thing that I want to say about Prismatic Evolution is I know there's a lot of special illustration rares. There's actually 32 special illustration rares, which is what makes the pull rate so incredibly hard for a specific one. The pull rates for the special illustration rares themselves is actually pretty good, which makes the set a lot of fun to rip. But to get that Umbreon, again, one in every 1,440 packs. But the reason I talked about all of the special illustration rares is because a lot of them are very high in price. These are the ones that I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on that Umbreon card. I might actually pull the trigger on it. Now, I know I am saving a ton of money for the set we're going to talk about here in a minute, but it is reaching that point. I'm starting to see it flatten out. I think it's starting to hit a support line. Like it is doing everything that just makes my Pokemon card investing brain fire. You should buy it, but $800 is so much money. We'll just have to wait and see. But these three cards right here, they're not $800, right? Like they're a little bit more approachable from a price point, still a ton of money for a single card. But again, look at what those prices are doing. After those really aggressive price drops, they're starting to flatten out just a little bit. The Leafeon certainly looks like it's finding some support. The Sylveon looks like it's flattening out. The Vaporeon right there looks like it's coming down, starting to hit that curve too. So I'm not investing in any of the other special illustration rares. I specifically want the Eeveelutions, and I specifically want the four that I've mentioned to you. So that's a long way of me saying I think Prismatic Evolutions is in a really special spot. I think Prismatic Evolutions has all of the numbers, intangibles, data to be a very special set far into the future. And as we're watching all of these other sets kind of start to spike, I think this one is going to be a fast follow here. And then the next thing that I want to talk about is I have talked about this set ad nauseum. I have never done so much content on a new set. I've already done 2 videos on Phantasmal Flames, but one of the things that I talked about was my investing strategy. I did a whole video on my investing strategy for Phantasmal Flames, and part of that investing strategy is my monthly plan includes me setting Poké Dollars aside. I have to set money aside. I just have to, because I know that when this set drops, number one, it's going to be well over MSRP. It's going to be almost impossible to get at MSRP, so I know I'm going to have to pay a premium for it. Number two, demand is going to be through the freaking roof, so I'm going to have to knife fight in order to try and get my hands on any of it to begin with. And number three, I won't be happy unless I get at least a case of these booster boxes, and I want to be prepared to pay for it. I think in the long run, this set is going to be phenomenal, no matter what the price is out the gate. I think it's going to do really, really well. My goal right now is if I can get a case at a per booster box price of $275 or lower, I would love to do that. As I shared with you in the video where I talked about my investment strategy, I had a different approach to Destined Rivals. I actually let Destined Rivals marinate for a little bit until it reached a decent price point. Then we bought a case of it then. So I have kind of a blended approach to this, but I'm going to say this every single month when I do my investing video, when I do the video where I'm sharing with you where I'm spending my dollars, I am saving money. I'm putting it aside. It's earmarked for Phantasmal Flames because Pika Pika Papa is going to have a very, very large piece of that. So with that being said, I hope you had fun. I hope you didn't get lost in the sauce and all of these datas and numbers and pull rates and gem rates, but it's incredibly important. I would take it seriously. I know how hard you work for your money. I know how hard I work for mine. And I think it's important that all of us have the best data at our fingertips that we can when we decide to spend it on this awesome hobby that we all love. So I hope you have an epic rest of your day. If you enjoyed the content, hit that subscribe button, hit a thumbs up. Those things go a long way in helping me out, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon, everybody. See you. Bye.